Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from RicoScores, and even though I already feel like it's very likely that we're going to end up taking quarterback number 2 overall, and we're going to talk about all of that, but Doug Williams is out here leaking important information right now. This guy just leaked basically that the Commanders will take a quarterback number 2 overall. Made it sound like duh type of thing. He said 9 out of 10 chance. Like, what are you doing, my boy? Should Doug Williams stop talking to the media and all of that? We're going to dive into this whole situation, why this could potentially hurt us and why I hope it does not. But also we got to talk about why even outside of this whole Doug Williams situation, even before this happened, I was definitely willing to probably put money on the fact that we're taking quarterback number 2 overall. And I'm also going to talk about why I'm happy whether we take quarterback number 2 overall. If we trade back, I'm happy either way. I personally prefer to take a quarterback number 2 overall, but I'm happy regardless of what this organization chooses to do with that pick. And we're going to talk about which one they're more likely to do and all of that. But before we dive into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content. Super excited. So many updates to give y'all. I'm about to do a full breakdown on the special teams coordinator that we just hired. I like Nick Caxer. He was really cool and all of that, but the guy that we're bringing in is crazy at that. Like, Dan Quinn is building an all-star cast. He's building the Avengers around him right now. So I'm super excited. I'm gonna do a full breakdown on that later on tonight, so stay tuned for that. And of course, I'm working on more mock drafts. I want to do a trade back scenario mock draft. Even with this information right here, I know a lot of y'all wanted to see what it would be like if we traded back and what talent we could still get, how many more draft picks we can end up getting in return, and all of the future starters we could end up landing. So I'm working on that mock draft. I'm working on the Cliff Kingsbury mock draft, all of that type of stuff. And of course, any little information that comes out about the Commanders, I'm going to keep y'all updated on it. So stay tuned. But let's go ahead and get to this video right here. Let's get it. All right, I'm back. So, man, it's not looking too good for our boy Doug Williams. I know Adam Peters is fuming right now. Like, dog, like I already had to cut off Dan Quinn at his initial press conference when they asked him about quarterback, and he was about to say something potentially dangerous and something leaking and giving people an idea of what we plan on doing. So he had to already cut him off during his press conference. And then Dan Quinn went after that press conference with an interview with Scott Abraham and then super pumped up Sam Howell way beyond the necessary amount. He could have just simply have said, yeah, we're still in the quarterback evaluation process, and you know, we have a long way to go, things like that. But he went on to talk about Sam Howell's ability to throw on the run, his ability to hit the deep ball off schedule, and how important being able to work off schedule is great at the NFL level. Now, of course, him hyping up Sam Howell is completely contradictory to what Doug Williams did today. But still, I know Adam Peters is like, I don't care. I don't care if you say one thing, you say another, I come out and say a third thing. Like, we each just all go out there and throw out misinformation. Adam Peters, I'm pretty sure, and even Josh Harris himself, probably prefers if there's just no information. They probably prefer no information over misinformation. Unless you play it right, misinformation can be very deadly, but it could also have some unforeseen consequences that can negatively affect your team, especially long term. So I'm very worried about that. Either way, Adam Peters just wants everybody to stop talking to the media, especially about quarterback. When they ask you these questions, it's not like they have you at gunpoint and require you to give like an actual detailed answer, an honest 100% transparent answer. That's not required of you, not legally, not anything. You can literally, when they ask you about quarterback, just simply say, we still have a long way to go. We still got to all talk together. We're early in the process, and you know, we plan on exploring all avenues, considering all options, things like that. Just keep it really surface, very political, very vanilla. And yeah, Dan Quinn, Adam Peters had to save him in person. Sadly, Adam Peters wasn't next to Doug Williams in this interview right here with Bucky Brooks and Andrew Siciliano. Man, they set my dog Doug Williams up. Here's the clip right here if you want to see it, man.
You know good and well, you know, I got to be political about this whole thing now. You know, 9 out of 10, that's a good chance that we might pick one of the quarterbacks.
Like, come on, dog. 9 out of 10 chance that we take quarterback number 2 overall. I don't care how obvious it is. What does it help to give that information out there like that. 9 out of 10 chance, making it sound like, duh, we're taking a quarterback. Like, don't question my intelligence. Of course I know we should take a quarterback. Like, it kind of was like he got defensive at a certain point. Like, yeah, I know we're taking quarterback. It's like he tried to play it the political way, the way that he should have played it at first. And then once it seemed like they were questioning him and his decision-making skills, he was like, nah, we're definitely taking quarterback. Come on now. You know me, quarterback taker. Like, come on, that's not good, man. It's not good. I love Doug Williams too. Not only what he means to this organization specifically, but also to me as an important figure in Black history. But boy, man, you can't do that. You can't be out here telling the world what you plan on doing, Doug. You just can't. First of all, just by job title alone, being a senior advisor, he doesn't actually have much say in what the Commanders are doing as far as building this team, especially on the personnel side, like who we decide in the draft, who we bring in free agency, who we re-sign, who we don't re-sign, who we extend, all of that type of stuff. That's completely the Adam Peters show, with a little bit of input from other guys, you know, at varying levels, different degrees of influence, because I think Eugene Shin and Dan Quinn probably have a little bit more input than a lot of the other guys. But either way, this is the Adam Peters show. He came here to run this thing. He'll have the last say. He'll have the majority say. Josh Harris has officially wiped his hands clean of anything football. He brought in all of these football guys. He's completely out of the way. He's taken himself completely out of the equation. He's probably just solely focused on upgrading the FedEx Field Stadium that we currently have, and then what we're going to do with the next stadium, where it's going to be, how it's going to be designed, and things like that. That's all of his focus. But Commanders football wise, who we taking the draft, who we taking free agency, Josh Harris is completely away from that. He doesn't want anything to do with it, and I love that about him as an owner. Adam Peters knows that coming here. This is his show to run. Eugene Shin will matter. He's the analytics guy, and he's very important, and I'm pretty sure he's going to have quite a bit of input, and probably a little bit more input and power than a lot of people probably think he will. But either way, again, just to reiterate, this is the Adam Peters show. So Doug Williams, you're leaking information that you don't even have control over. It's like you took Adam Peters' spade hand and then showed everybody else around what he's planning on doing and what he's got in his hand. And you're not even sitting at the table playing. You're not even one of the 4 people sitting down right now. Like, come on, my boy, Doug, you can't do that. So the lack of say in what the Commanders actually do from Doug Williams' side is already crazy. But even just to take it back, step 1, even if you were the GM, even if you actually did have any say in what we have going on, that's still a crazy thing to leak out there. Yeah, it may seem obvious to most people that we are taking quarterback number 2 overall, whether a lot of people want to or don't. I feel like the general consensus, people understand that we're going quarterback. And a lot of people, even like Louis Riddick, is out there saying you need to do whatever it takes to trade up to number 1 to get a quarterback. But you can't come out and say it, bro. You just can't come out and literally just tell people, yeah, 9 out of 10 we're taking quarterback. Because what does that help? Now, luckily, this happened early February, so hopefully we can pull the "we changed our mind" card by the time the draft comes around, and hope that people actually believe it. Because if they don't, man, it could get ugly for us, man. Hopefully we still have like over 2 months to convince everybody out there that maybe Sam Howell is the guy. Don't worry about it. We're not taking quarterback and things like that. If you want to throw out some misinformation, or hopefully people just within the next over 2 months, 2.5 months, that people forget that you even said this, because there's going to be so many more headlines, maybe other teams slipping up and leaking information that everybody forgets yours. But I doubt it, man. Once it's out there, man. It's the internet. It's the age of the internet. I don't like this at all. Now, if we did want to trade back or trade up for Caleb, no matter what, but especially trade up, they can hold that pick for ransom now, as in the Bears, man. I feel like it's extremely unlikely for us to trade up no matter what happens on our end. No matter how much we want Caleb Williams, if we don't or whatever, I just think the Bears it would just be crazy for them to not take Caleb Williams right there. So I already think it's very unlikely, period. But if they know for a fact we want him, even if they don't, and specifically Caleb Williams is that who we want, boy, they could hold that pick for ransom and ask for way more, just simply because they know that we want him really bad. I know there's a Cliff Kingsbury connection and things like that, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But you coming out and saying that we're taking quarterback 9 out of 10 does mean something. That's scary. And even if this is an exaggeration of us showing our cards and how that could hurt us, even if I'm just exaggerating, at the end of the day, people knowing what you plan on doing and what you prefer to do can only hurt, not help. I'm not saying that it's guaranteed to hurt us. I'm not saying that it's very likely to hurt us. My point is, I can definitely assure you that it can't help. There's no advantage to telling the world what you plan on doing in the draft. So Doug Williams, man, we need you to stop doing these press runs. Man, really appreciate you, everything that you've done for the Burgundy and Gold, for being a historical figure in the black community, all that type of stuff. Really appreciate you, man. Shouts out to you and everything. But man, we can't have him up there being interviewed no more. But at the same time, to go back to my point about him not having much say, maybe that in turn will make actual NFL teams, not us fans, well, us fans, things that don't matter, but when it comes to NFL teams, executives, other teams, GMs, president of football operations, the guys running things, especially like the draft and stuff like that, maybe with them recognizing that Doug Williams doesn't have a lot of power, maybe that will be enough to be like, just ignore that. That's just somebody that doesn't have much say, just talking anyway. So there's no effect there. We have no idea what the Commanders actually want to do, as in Adam Peters, Eugene Shin, Dan Quinn, and all of these guys. Cliff Kingsbury, especially specifically with him being the offensive coordinator. Doug Williams is just a guy that's just talking. Hopefully that's the way they view it. I don't want to downplay Doug Williams like that, but when you go out there and do things like that, we kind of have to kind of do a little bit of recovery on the information that you threw out there. I mean, they can really use this stuff against you. Remember, the Lions, knowing that we were interested in Brian Branch, led to them not taking a chance on waiting for him to fall to them. So they traded up 2 picks before us, I believe it was, just in case. But if they didn't know we wanted him, he may have actually fallen to us. I really like Quan Martin, but still, like, they literally were like, man, the Commanders, from everything we're seeing, from everything we're hearing, they're clearly interested in Brian Branch. So if we want him, we got to trade up in front of them. And if they didn't know that, they didn't have that information, if they didn't have rumor, whatever you want to call it, whatever information they had that led to them doing that trade up, if they didn't have that, maybe they stay put, being completely unaware and oblivious to the fact that we want them, and then we end up taking them. In result, I mean, and even just the whole report, I don't know how true this was, but the Patriots, instead of trading up in front of us to take Christian Gonzalez, they knew we preferred Emmanuel Forbes. So instead of wasting draft capital, which makes another one of our 31 NFL teams who are all enemies, we're not friends with anybody, we're competing against everybody, that could have potentially have been the Patriots having to give up draft capital to get Christian Gonzalez instead of getting him anyway for absolutely free, staying where they are. If we could have gotten the Patriots to just give up some draft capital in return, that could have been a slight win in our favor. Just, just to kind of, and I know Jets fans would have been happier. I know that would have made all of the AFC East teams happier as well. The Bills, the Dolphins, just to see a rival basically look stupid. Like, he was going to make it to y'all anyway. You didn't even have to trade up and give up all of that draft capital to get him. You were good where you were. But of course, with us letting information leak out the way that we did, similar to what Doug Williams just did today, but Doug Williams is just far more brazen with it, just up front, 9 out of 10 chance. That information on the whole Emmanuel Forbes, we prefer him over Christian Gonzalez situation, that wasn't even like as up front as this Doug Williams information. And for the Patriots to use that against us in their benefit is scary, man. It looks like they outsmarted us. I mean, it's like, why do the Patriots know we prefer Emmanuel Forbes going into this draft, dog? Why do they know that? How do they know that? We can't allow that stuff. And so far, this organization has shown that they don't let anything leak. I mean, as we saw with like the Bob Myers, Rick Spielman hire, that just came out of absolutely nobody was expecting that. And you could tell that those guys were working with the organization for a while now, and how tight-lipped everybody was about that was fantastic. Our head coaching search, our offensive coordinator search, all of that, everything has been so tight-lipped, and we don't know until we absolutely know. There have been like literally no leaks up to this point of Doug Williams talking. And again, maybe we shouldn't take it so seriously because again, he doesn't have much say in what's going on. So maybe Adam Peters is just like, yeah, I mean, let him do whatever he does. Nobody's really going to take it seriously because he's not actually a part of our team building process and our front office as far as those types of things go. So maybe we can get away with it, but still, man, leaking information does not help. Those are just 2 very recent examples just from last year's draft alone, showing with how teams knowing what we want to do can not only help them but also potentially hurt us by them taking a player that we really wanted and that we were really interested in. But at the same time, though, I feel like we're more than likely going to end up taking quarterback number 2 overall anyway. You don't bring in all of these proven and elite quarterback developers for absolutely no reason. You just don't, man. There has to be a reason that we went with like Cliff Kingsbury and Brian Johnson. And you can talk about what failures they may have had at other places, at other titles and things like that. But at the end of the day, between Cliff Kingsbury and Brian Johnson just alone, we have Pat Mahomes in college that took him from unknown high school recruit to first round pick for the Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs took Pat Mahomes and helped develop him into what is now the best quarterback in all of football, arguably the best quarterback in NFL history. But Cliff Kingsbury was the one that got that guy, turned him into a first round pick. A lot of people were looking like, why did the Chiefs even take him that high? Cliff Kingsbury got him there. And again, nobody was talking about Pat Mahomes as a high school recruit. I haven't met anybody that was just up on him like, yeah, he's about to be the next one. Cliff Kingsbury helped him become that guy. Now, of course, Pat Mahomes is naturally talented. He had a lot of that built in him. Cliff Kingsbury did a great job of getting that out of him. And then you also have Dak Prescott's developmental quarterback coach in college as well that had him NFL ready from the jump. I mean, as soon as the Cowboys drafted him, I mean, he had a couple of weaknesses here and there, but how ready he was to play immediately and everybody feeling like he was a huge steal in the draft and everything's like that, that's Brian Johnson right there. Johnny Manziel's best year in his life by far. The year that Johnny Manziel had people fooled and actually thought he was a really good quarterback, that was Cliff Kingsbury's magic working right there. Jalen Hurts' best season, his MVP caliber season, the 2022 season where they went to the Super Bowl, that's Brian Johnson. Kyler Murray's MVP run that it did implode at the end of the season, but we're talking about the guy that a lot of people were scared of taking, first of all, from being little, underweight. Does he even care about football enough? Does he prefer baseball? All of that type of stuff. Cliff Kingsbury got that guy, and he won Offensive Rookie of the Year immediately the first year, and he had him playing at top. He was a top MVP candidate at one point in time, arguably the number one MVP candidate before the wheels just fell off at a certain point in that season. And then even Case Keenum in college that had people thinking he was one of them coming out of college at one point. That's Cliff Kingsbury. And he also helped contribute to Baker Mayfield's development into a future Heisman winner and number one overall pick because he had him before Lincoln Riley got a hold of him at Oklahoma. My boy Cliff Kingsbury, our boy Cliff Kingsbury, had him back at Texas Tech, so he gave him like the first steps of his development that made Lincoln Riley even want to take him to get him as a transfer to turn him into that Heisman winner, number one overall pick. These are the quarterback developers that we brought in. This is the track record of just two guys alone that we brought in to help develop quarterbacks. Why would you go through all of that if you don't plan on bringing a rookie guy for them to develop? Why bring in a whole bunch of quarterback developers if you don't want to develop a young quarterback? At that point, you might as well have just brought in great X's and O's and play caller guys. If you don't plan on developing a quarterback, you specifically went and got proven quarterback developers. It would be pretty weird if we don't draft quarterback at that point. And then on top of all of that, a lot of people around the NFL love Tavia Pritchard. Like, absolutely love him. We ended up retaining him. I'm going to talk about that in my video later when I talk about the special teams coordinator that we hired. But either way, a lot of people feel like he could be like the next Bobby Slowick type of guy. Great QB developer. Once he gets an opportunity as an offensive coordinator, he's going to kill it type of thing. And then people are going to start wanting him as a head coach. A lot of people feel like we're even lucky to just have him as a QB's coach. A lot of people were expecting him to go get a promotion this offseason to something, passing game coordinator, maybe even offensive coordinator somewhere. For him to stay as a QB's coach with all of this potential, being like that next young prodigy, bright offensive minded coach type of guy, the genius, again, like another Bobby Slowick, high riser type of guy, for him to stick around just as a QB's coach. And then that's on top of, again, the track record that Brian Johnson and Cliff Kingsbury have together between, again, Pat Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Johnny Manziel's only great year, Jalen Hurts' best season, Kyler Murray's MVP run, Case Keenum, Baker Mayfield. All of that comes from Brian Johnson and Cliff Kingsbury alone. And then on top of that, you potentially have like the next Bobby Slowick, who's just specifically only your quarterback's coach. That's all of that talent, all of that potential that everybody loves right now. If you ask around the NFL, a lot of people love Tavita that much. All of that is being focused solely on quarterback and quarterback development on his end, on top of what we already have in Cliff Kingsbury and Brian Johnson. Why would you go through all of that to not bring a quarterback in to develop? But at the same time, what's interesting is that you can also take that flip it and argue back that with all of that quarterback development in this coaching staff, how about giving Sam Howell another year and see what this staff can do with him? Because similar to what the staff that we're putting together on the defensive side, especially the DB group, it's starting to look like, man, if Emmanuel Forbes can't be great with Dan Quinn, Joe Witt Jr., and Jason Simmons, then it's him. It's not the coaching anymore. Like Darryl Green said, like a few months back, he said, like, literally he blames coaching. He didn't care. Burgundy and gold, all of that type of stuff. Burgundy and gold legend, he didn't care. He didn't care about burning bridges with the previous regime. He was like, it's literally coaching. It's not Emmanuel Forbes' fault. So now when you bring in this level of development, this proven track record of development in the DB group, if Emmanuel Forbes can't work under those conditions, if he can't live up to his first round pick with those guys, the guys that we brought in, then it won't happen anywhere. Same thing pretty much at this point with quarterback. If Brian Johnson, Cliff Kingsbury, and Tavita can't put their brains together to develop a guy, then it's clearly that guy. So I can see the argument where you flip everything I just said and throw it back at me and say, well, how about we give Sam Howell that level of coaching and quarterback development and see what he could do with it. I can see both sides. But even though I personally prefer to take a quarterback at the top of the draft, again, I'm happy with either decision that they come to, no matter what. Because with as excited as I am about this staff that we're putting together, front office and coaching staff, killing it right now, I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they did all of the research and brainstorming humanly possible to come to the best decision, with some analytics thrown in there as well, especially with the perfect combination that we have with football guys and analytics guys, just pure football, pure analytics. Whatever they come to together and can agree upon, that has to be the right answer in my eyes. I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt no matter what they do. But I can see both sides. I can see preferring to stick with Sam Howell, trade back, take like Olu Fashanu, Marvin Harrison Jr., whatever. And I can also see the side where you take quarterback, number 2 overall, or maybe even trade up for Caleb Williams, whatever. Again, I'm happy either way, me personally, because I'm just super optimistic about this organization making the right decision. I feel like, even though I have my own opinion, I feel like they're putting in far more time, effort, money, and everything that they can, film sessions, to come with the best decision. Even if that's different from what my personal decision is, I'm gonna completely give them the benefit of the doubt, because they're putting in way more time and money and research than I ever could. All of these great elite NFL minds that we brought together in this front office and coaching staff, they better come up with a better answer than I could, just me by myself chilling at the crib. So, hey man, I'm gonna have complete faith in whatever they decide to do. Again, I want to keep saying I prefer to take quarterback, number 2 overall. If Caleb Williams is gone, I'm still down to take like Jayden Daniels or Drake May, whatever they decide. But Jayden Daniels would be my second favorite outside of only Caleb Williams. But again, whatever they do, I'm happy. But either way, Doug Williams, you got to stop leaking information, man. We got to chill out. We please, moral of the story, just stop talking, stop giving detailed answers, man. Just say hi. Yeah, we're still thinking about it. Yeah, we're still early in that process. Yeah, we don't know. We got to come together and work on these things. I mean, guys just got hired. I mean, honestly, do we even expect us to have an actual answer yet? I mean, of course, it seems obvious that by the end of the process, we're going to decide to take a top 2 quarterback. But at the end of the day, Dan Quinn has only been here for what, like a week? Cliff Kingsbury has been here for less than a week. Do they actually even really have an answer? Do they want to see Sam Howell a little bit in person to make sure that they definitely want to move on from him and only keep him as like a backup quarterback potentially? I mean, we're so early in the process. Like, that's not even just a political answer. That's a real answer. That's a pure fact. We are so early in the process that who knows what happens. So hopefully people just look at that like in that light and just be like, yeah, man, he was just talking. It was February 9th. He doesn't have much say anyway, and it's too early in the process, so the Commanders probably could go anyway and do anything that they want. That's what I'm hoping NFL teams are thinking coming away from this. But Doug Williams, man, chill out, man. Just give the political answer. But again, back to my point, was that even the right answer? We don't know yet. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Again, stay tuned for all of the content that I'm working on. We have so many things to talk about. I'm so excited. Mock drafts, everything, man. I'm gonna update y'all on the special teams coordinator that we hired and the fact that we kept Tavita as a quarterbacks coach and why that's so important to this organization, this franchise, and the potential quarterback that we may end up taking number 2 overall, or if we stick with Sam Howell, why that's huge for him as well, how he gets to stay with a consistent quarterbacks coach for at least 2 years in a row, please, and all of that. So stay tuned for all of those videos, all of that content. I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.